live. We're live. Just give me a moment. I'm just all right. Just let me. I never get this right. I never time this right whatsoever. Welcome everybody to the show. Just drop your name and chat to say hello. And let's get this started now. This is the Love Doctor live stream. I've just poured my drink. Welcome everybody to the live stream. We've got our special guest tonight is Wendy Bonbons, based out of Newfoundland. Tanya Cheex. What city are you currently based in?
Toronto.
If you wish to say. Toronto.
Toronto?
Toronto. That's it. Sorry. I almost did. My accent can be a little bit unnerving for people at times. We are here to be answering your questions about love, sex, and relationships. So if you have any questions for us, you could drop it in the chat. And I noticed that some people are tuning in now. So if you're tuning in, say hello, tell us what you're drinking, tell us where you're watching from. And if you want to know where to drop your chat, your questions in, you can either just put it in the chat, or you can go to the slido.com or sli.do. Either one works. And the event code is TLD202. And that is what you can, so you can ask anonymously if you don't want to have your name associated with your question. Welcome everybody. It's getting cold. Is anyone else noticing this? It's getting cold in the weather.
It is.
It's dangerous weather-wise. No one has said hello to us yet. I noticed that we have people watching, but nobody is saying hello. Shame on you, because you should be polite and you should be saying hello to people. We do have some questions though. Some people have put in some questions in advance. Should we get started, or is there any questions or any news that either of you want to share before we get started?
I think I'm good.
You're good? All right. And here we are, our first question. I'm just going to bring it up. We always start at the bottom with the questions, and then we move our way up. The first question we have here is, my partner and I go on double dates with other couples. So we have a wonderful time, but she always insists that we pay. We can't afford it. It's not a big deal, but she never consults with me beforehand. Is she overstepping her bounds, or am I a doormat? Maybe both. Any advice would be appreciated. In the hot seat, it's Wendy Bonbons. What is your take on that relationship question, that query that has been provided for us?
Finances, they're tough. I feel like the best thing in that situation for me would be to have a talk with my partner and let them know my concerns about the money. It is really nice to treat your friends, especially, when you are consistently hanging out, but it is nice to have a circle of treating your friends. So maybe the other couple can't afford it. I don't really know the situation there. But if you're not feeling cool with it, just talk to your partner, let them know. Maybe you can get a little bit of heads up. Even if it doesn't fully stop right away, you can get a bit of a heads up, so then you can talk about it before you go out. Maybe it's not a great time.
Solid answer. Tanya.
Well, she's right. They definitely should talk about it beforehand, because it's just going to breed some kind of discontent in their little foursome thing that they're having. Maybe even suggest the next thing that they do is not something that requires money, and then maybe say next time maybe you should treat us. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be doing that for the long haul if I was the one holding the purse strings to that. So that could mess up the harmony of their little double dates.
That is well put. I have one further question for the people who wrote this question, is who makes the most money in your couple? Because if they're the one who are the major breadwinner of the couple, then having them decide that or insist on treating, that seems to be more their choice. I would state that. You also say it's not a big deal to share, but you might want to just sort of tell them you'd like to be consulted privately before you do go out on a date with other couples. Otherwise, I think it's a generous thing to do. It's very nice and it's kind, and nice and kind is kind of fun. It's good to be good to other people. Yes. All right. No, any further comments or follow up as we get the big yellow screen?
I think, I think we all did really great on that. We all contribute different things.
Yeah, we do have some comments have come in. I'm just didn't want to cover Tanya. Christopher Kelly saying he loves the show, so he's watching. Ruroshen says hello from Scarborough. Ruroshen's a regular watcher. Is saying hello, welcome Ruroshen. And so we move on to the next question that we have. Is aside from physical appearance, what is something that instantly attracts you to a person? Tanya, you have the hot seat.
It would definitely be like a sense of humor. If it's not a physical thing, it's going to be a good sense of humor. One that's sort of witty, not that really puts down other people, but, one that, a good vocabulary, and something like that is definitely attractive.
That's a good answer. Anything else?
Other than physical? Well, just common interest. If they're, I'm really into movies and stuff, if they can, offer something that perhaps that I'm not familiar with, I think it's important to sort of get to a bit of a trade-off, have a bit of educate each other on different things. That's definitely like sexy. Information is sexy.
And that's sexy is good. Wendy.
I think a strong sense of independence. I really enjoy that about people. When you're somebody who can really take charge of what you want to do and just do it regardless of what's going on around you. And definitely like passion for something. It's okay to go through spells where you don't really know what you want to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be your career. It doesn't have to be even like your hobbies. If you just really care about your hobbies, that is super hot. Caring about, giving a fuck about what you do in your day-to-day, that is super hot.
Boom. I like that answer as well. I would, the only thing I would possibly add to this is maybe consideration. If they're the kind of person that will hold a door for other people, or if they see somebody struggling with bags, they'll stop and help. I think seeing that level of not just compassion, but consideration for other people. Like, I don't mean the type of people that will stop at a yield sign to let a car go past that has also stopped. I mean in a smart way, consideration, being considerate for other people and not constantly thinking about themselves, which gets rarer these days. I'm not sure exactly why. It could be something that's just odd. I get odd myself, but it's just. Do you find that not enough people are being considerate to other people?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's some old-fashioned things, like you said, like opening doors and stuff. You just don't see so much of that anymore. Bring it back.
Well, I see it because I fucking do it. That's the thing. There's nothing stopping us from doing it. I mean, I think last time I was in Toronto, I held a door for one person, and then it was like 10 people went through before I could fit through. But it was it's the way things are. At least in Montreal, it's I can at least get in on the next 2 or 3. It's a little bit more spacious here. But Toronto, I have to state, people in Toronto do know how to use an escalator, a fucking escalator. It should be very simple to use an escalator, right? No one understands what I'm talking about at this point in time. The moving stairs, they go up. Like in Toronto, everybody.
One side you stand and one side you move. Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly. And they don't do that in Montreal. In Montreal, they get on and they stand wherever they are. If they're in the center, if they're on the left, they're on the right. It's like you have to do parkour to climb the freaking escalator. Oh, that was a question I didn't ask everybody. What's everybody drinking tonight? Tanya.
I'm drinking some really shitty Pinot Grigio. It's like left over from Friday night.
I see that we had a few more people have logged in. If you want to say hi to let us know where you're watching from. Wendy, what about yourself are you drinking?
I'm just drinking some soda pop, but I'm just excited because I dies for you, love doctor. I really does. I dies for you.
He dies for you. That's from Saucy Pots in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
And did I say it right that time?
You
'Cause
did.
normally I'll say Newfoundland, and you've corrected me in the past. So
Hey, you got to get it right. It's important.
all right. Are we ready for the next question? I believe that's a yes from everybody. Here we go. The next question we have is, how do you think the fetishization of the doctor nurse medical play will change now that we are hopefully coming to the end of the pandemic? How do you think the fetishization of doctor nurse medical play will change? I'm in the hot seat for that one. Just to be clear, doctor is my family name. I'm not a medical doctor. If I was a medical doctor, I would have finished grade school. That's not the case currently. I don't think it'll change that much, other than the fact that maybe people will have more medical type equipment around home, so they can hobble something together a little quicker. I mean, everyone's got masks and rubber gloves somewhere in their house at this point, which wasn't always the case. I hope it doesn't change for people, as in the fact that we've been in contact with more doctors and nurses recently, and that has, you know what they say, contact breeds contempt. If you're hanging around with them too much. I hope that doesn't change it for people. I hope it doesn't mean it's less sexy for other people playing doctor. Tanya, what is your thoughts?
Well, recently I don't know if you guys know this or the viewers know this, but I'm a professional dominatrix. And I had a session about a week ago, and the client wanted to like play up on the whole like pandemic virus thing. So they wanted to like me to treat like they were like in an immune compromised situation, and that I'd have to like wrap them in saran wrap and, wear like all the face shields and the masks. I wanted to play into that like scenario of like the existing pandemic, and kind of like, but taking it to that further sort of outbreak kind of thing. So yeah, so that's new. I mean, I have done mummification before, but to use it in that scenario where they were afraid of catching something, that's new. In a medical,
that's
like,
an evolution
play thing. Yeah.
Very cool.
So it was like so yeah, so there might be a few, people play, pandemic role play. It's
let's swab that out.
Yeah.
Wendy.
I just hope people like are a little bit more open to it. I feel like the time at home maybe hopefully has opened some people to exploring their more personal side, their more sexual side, and maybe they've, reached out and tried a few new things. I feel like that's one of the safer things you can do, especially if, you're trying to be safe and just have the same partners, or just be careful with who you're coming in contact with. It's kind of nice to explore that stuff. So hopefully people are kind of like a little more open to it with all this time inside,
Boom. Good answers from both of you. I guess we're all going to be a little more familiar with what happens in the doctor's office at this point. And there's new fear factors. Tanya made a very good point of playing with the stress and the enjoyment of that. Well, sorry, making the stress that we've had for the past 18 months or 2 years more enjoyable. And I guess we're time for another question. I noticed people, the chat isn't been too big. Oh, we sorry, Moria, sorry, it's Lauriston. Hi from Montreal. Welcome, Moira. And so the next question we have is, which would you prefer, breakfast in bed or a candlelit dinner? Breakfast in bed or a candlelit dinner? Wendy, you have that one first.
What are we doing with the breakfast in the bed? This is my question. What are we doing with the breakfast in the bed?
Can you possibly explain that for people so they understand why you're asking that?
I feel like I'm not really that into like fire myself, but I definitely am into food. And I feel like if someone brought me, some maple syrup, some pancakes, and the bottle maple syrup, we could have a really good time with some breakfast in bed. But I don't know. Yeah, that entices me a little bit more than the candlelit dinner. Something might catch fire. I don't know.
Boom. I think that's a great answer. But I'm also going to go for breakfast in bed, but say around dinner time. So we spent all day in bed ahead of time. And maybe we could have candles with our breakfast at 8 p.m. Just saying the idea of having a day in bed to enjoy each other is a wonderful luxury. Tanya.
I like the idea of a day in bed, but I actually hate food in my bed. I don't want food anywhere near my bed. So I'm into the candlelight dinner, and I love candle wax, especially in other people.
I think that's good answers. If all around. I'm not a fan of food in bed either. But yeah, I guess that's true. I didn't even think about that. I was immediately thinking candlelit dinner was going to be in bed, but I need a cuddle. The cuddles are, just to spend a day just wrapped underneath with the weather getting colder, a good comforter and just sort of weighing us down. I'm going off script here, not going to one of the questions, but I'm going to ask the two of you, how important is touch to you in a relationship? Just chime in with your thoughts, because I think it's important to be able to hold hands or put my fingers on a wrist or back of a neck or just to wrap my arms around somebody. I think that's important.
It is important, but sometimes too much is too much. I don't know. Like, I like a bit of cuddling, but then say if I'm in bed, like a bit of cuddling and like, okay, this is my side, this is your side. But yeah. We're good now.
All right, I'm turning over the hourglass.
Sure.
The cuddling time is ended.
Maybe it's because I have restless leg syndrome. I'll kick you really hard. But the touch is important. It's just that too much is gross. Too much is smothering. This has to be a good balance of it. I don't want someone like hanging off of me in public too much. I don't like that. It's like what Wendy was saying about independence. Like the person has to it can't be like, no. Too much PDA can go away.
Yeah,
that almost sounds like a bumper sticker. Just too much PDA can go away.
You know what? I don't have a big appreciation, I guess, for the touching side of a relationship. So I feel like it's not that important to me. I do appreciate the body heat. I have to say, when it gets cold, it is cuffing season. Don't get me wrong, but it's not something that I crave. It's not as nice to me as being able to sit in silence together. That's something that's really important. But the touching, not so much. Not for me.
Two people curled in bed reading books together, just maybe the feet just slightly entangled or the legs entangled. That's nice. Spending quiet time together. All right. Let us move on to the next question. Just trying to line it up. We had some new questions come in, which is great. I, female 23, find myself attracted to older men. To be clear, I do not have daddy issues, nor am I looking for a sugar daddy. How do I approach these men to engage them and have them take me seriously? Tanya, you're first on this question.
Hard for me to answer because I love a good sugar daddy. I love older men. Just maybe set your dating app to a higher age thing, and then just be very straightforward that you want to date. I mean, I think maybe older men might be suspect of a younger woman approaching them, but I think in the end they'll be happy to find that they're not a gold digger. But I have nothing against gold diggers.
Wendy.
Yeah, I think I think that's a great idea, just being straight up, being straightforward with it, like Tanya said. I also think that, like, if you have the confidence in knowing what you want, that in itself is a great way to start getting it. Just putting yourself out there, whether it be on a dating app or, you know, whether things are starting to open up and you're getting to go out, being confident to approach somebody, and again, be straight up, like said. You can usually find somebody to chat with that way.
Saying hello.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think someone
that
can
would be
usually. I think someone can. Sorry to interrupt, but I think like someone can usually detect right away what someone is after, if it's like, you know, monetary intentions or actual companionship. I think that's usually like, unless you're super sneaky, but otherwise, I think like someone can pick that up.
I had to resist the way to read the question. Just go hello when they said they were into older men. I'm though I have to say I've normally dated age appropriate. But not always, and I think the idea that you're concentrating on one attribute of a person or a classification of people. It's okay to have preferences, but the thing is, you kind of have to take the whole person. So understand that yeah, okay, they might be older, but maybe you know, if you're only sort of like if you consider yourself a butt person and you're only chasing the butts, it doesn't matter who is attached to it. It's not. It's I feel it's the same way if you're chasing people only because of their age. You want to find a person that you find attractive. This might be an attribute that is consistent among the people that you find attractive, but it shouldn't be the only thing. In approaching, and again, saying hello, being in a social situation and saying hello to somebody is fine. Tanya mentioned the dating apps. That's fine. Any way that you can find to communicate and express interest is quite normal. And the thing is, in today's society, just saying hello and talking to a person and not asking too personal questions, but asking some kind of questions to try to get to know them a bit better is a rarity. We don't do that. People talk about going to small towns and having people ask them, "Oh, what do you think about the weather?" and expect a real answer rather than, "Oh, it's fine," or "It's fucking cold." We don't see enough of that, and I'm not trying to romanticize old timiness because there's a lot of shit back then. But at the same time, I think treating people with respect, and at the same time, talking to people, and talking to people to find out about them is the best way to do it. And that was my rant. I'm just boom. I should say interrupt me anytime. Oh, whoa, that was a weird picture. All right, we've got the next question. Everyone answered that one, right?
All together, right?
What?
We're right close and cozy. I felt like a sandwich, Justin.
Our next question is, hi, Tanya. Hi, Wendy. All right, there's no hi for me. Well, thank you. Whoever wrote that. I just wanted to let you know that I find you both amazing. I wish I had the confidence you both have to perform and share your amazing talents and gifts with the world. There you go. Thank you for being out there and onto the show. Normally, I'd be the first one to answer that, but it wasn't addressed to me. So do you two have anything or advice for people who are want to consider building the confidence to perform?
I think for me, it was really important to just kind of like go for it. Starting burlesque really helped me come out of my shell, and finding a good like support group to do that with, because like your family isn't always going to support it, your friends might always support it, but finding other like people in the community who enjoy what you enjoy, it's kind of hard to step into that, but once you do, you don't let it go. And I think that's a really important thing about starting something like that, is you find people who want to do it too. Surround yourself with that confidence and you'll catch it.
And a shout out to it was the Island Bells were the first burlesque troupe you worked with. Is that correct?
Yeah, they were. And now they've actually the Island Bells is dismantled, and we have a new up-and-coming burlesque troupe that are just having their first show this month here in St. John's. So that's friggin' exciting. The Salty Gems Burlesque, so appropriately named.
Very nice. Now, Tanya, I loved. It was just a moment, but I said, "How do you build the confidence to perform?" You grabbed your glass and you took a big drink. That was perfect timing. You're also a burlesque performer. What is your advice to the person watching who was asking about how to build the confidence?
Don't get drunk. Don't get drunk when you have to perform. But
The anticipation.
and
Oh, it seems like we may be having a connection problem.
We froze, but she's gonna have to say it again because I want to hear this. I'm so excited. In the meantime, Love Doctor, you look great tonight.
Oh, thank you. It's about time. I know it's season 3. I might want to retire this shirt. I think we're gonna have to wait for Tanya to come back.
It's worth it. I want to hear what she has to say.
Exactly. Tanya is a burlesque performer in Toronto, based out of Toronto, who has performed all over. She's performed with Velma Candias as well. So Candias Burlesque.
That's so cool.
There we go. Let's see. Yeah, she.
I believe. Sorry, go ahead.
She was instrumental in spearheading the Burlesque Revival in North America in 1998. She's a founder and artistic director of Toronto troupe Skin Tight Outta Sight. Tanya is also the first inductee into the Canadian Burlesque Hall of Fame. So Tanya considers herself a theatrical provocateur and uses burlesque as a medium to challenge preconceptions of beauty and desirability. Her revisionist acts include a tap dancing parasitical twin and her 5 tassel twirling Chimera, to name a few. So, boom.
I'm going to have to find some of her videos later and watch them all.
Exactly. We're just moving Tanya back up. I don't know exactly what happened, but you had us on the edge. Sorry, Tanya, you had us on the edge. So what was the advice? We just went through some of your credits as well, just to let people watching knowing that you are the first inductee in the Canadian Burlesque Hall of Fame. What is your advice for building confidence to perform? I noticed you did mention don't get drunk, but
I'm having technical difficulties.
Oh no.
Work through them. That's the internet bye.
Yeah, exactly. It's live and it's kind of like the show must go on. Should we move to the next question?
Can I just take
Hello?
We're in the bedroom right now.
All right. Sure. Go ahead, Wendy.
Cool.
Wendy froze for a moment, and now I'm not sure if I'm not freezing. So
you're unfroze.
I'm not frozen. All right.
I'm on suck.
We're doing what we can to help Tanya here, and they seem to be set up. I'm not sure if there's anything else that might be draining on their internet.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
I don't know what's happening. Can you hear now?
Yes. Go ahead, Tanya.
I'm still getting lag on you, and I can hear Wendy a little bit better again. Don't know what's happening here tonight.
Ooh.
All right. If you want to,
That's fair. It's
Tanya, if you want to talk to give an answer, and we'll just move forward after you finish.
I know I cannot wait to hear your advice. I'm gonna have to take some of it myself. I'm like mentally taking them. That's it, bye. That's all you can do. It happens. At least we're froze on your beautiful face.
I can't hear the
I can
doctor
hear you. It's a little
at all.
bit like.
Oh, I've been being quiet to let you
You
speak.
come in and
Can you
out.
hear me now?
I don't know
I
what
come
to
in and
do
out.
here.
All
I
right.
usually don't have these issues.
Oh, I can hear you. I can hear you both.
You can hear me?
And I can hear both of you.
Perfect.
So Tanya, we didn't get a lot of your answer last time, and it looks like she's dropping out again. I'd like to move on to the next question, but the next question is specifically directed to Tanya.
Ooh, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, let's. All right, we'll start, and I know I have some information on this question, even though it is directed at Tanya, but I imagine Wendy, you may as well. Tanya has mentioned wax play sounds fun, but what kind of candles do I need? This is Tanya is here, so maybe we can. Tanya, the question hello. The question has just come up, and is directed to you.
Hello?
It says, Tanya. Oh, do you hear us at all? I'm not sure if Tanya can actually hear us.
What kind of candles do I need?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I hear you.
I can hear you guys now.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
I can. Okay.
So the question was that you mentioned
hear
wax
you.
play.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. I am such bad. I don't know what's going on with my connection tonight. For candles, it's better to use like it doesn't matter. Don't use beeswax because it heats. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't use, like some people think like maybe use beeswax because they tend to be more natural, but don't use those. Use it's actually better to use a white candle. I mean, red is more visual, but it honestly doesn't matter. Like just the dollar store candles should be okay. They might burn faster, but you're more concerned about the heat. So if you're like raising the candle higher, what drops on the skin is gonna like cool down a bit faster. If you're like dropping it at a closer level to the skin, it's gonna be hotter. So if you're concerned about that, just drip the candle at a higher level than away from the skin if you're concerned about how hot it's going to be. Did you get that?
We got that. Tanya covered all the important stuff. No to beeswax because of the heat. Try to avoid artificial colors and to just hold it up higher to get less heat when it hits the skin. Wendy, do you have anything to add?
Don't use beeswax.
I've never used the dollar store candles, although I love that, and I'm gonna put that on my list of things you can get at the dollar store for your sex night. I've used the tri-color pack that you can pick up, and I actually this is the ones I got at the sex store here, Our Pleasure. But I will have to take note because you did mention no artificial colors, and these have artificial colors. So I'm gonna have to do a bit more research, I think.
But they're probably still okay. I'm just just experiment with the heights that you drip them on.
And
rather than
start higher and move closer,
get
not
some
the
kind
other
of,
way
like,
around.
idea that way. And, of course, checking in with the person you're playing with.
Very important. And also scents. Watch out for scented candles as well, because that would contain an oil, which can be hot. Also hot. So. And Tanya, one of the previous question, the one about the building the confidence to be a performer.
Yeah, don't use scent. It's an irritant. Yeah. Things with scent tend to like burn higher.
Okay.
All right. The next question, I believe that we're still having some sort of lag issue, but it's fine. We're just going to keep talking through it. Tanya, I do want to get back to that question.
My phone is a hotspot.
Okay. So we may see an improvement there. And should we move on to the next question, Wendy?
I'm down.
You're
ready
down.
to go.
All right. I don't think it is intentionally your question, though, as my wonderful girlfriend knows I enjoy fellatio, but as hard as she tries, she isn't good at it. She gags and chokes, and it turns me off. I don't want to hurt her or break her spirit, but how do I tell her that she isn't good at it? That's a delicate. Anytime that you have to tell your partner that they're not doing something you enjoy is difficult. So Wendy, how do you handle that?
It's a handle with care scenario, if you know what I mean. Handle with care, and definitely if you're gonna have an issue, provide a solution. So maybe think about some ways that you can both try some new techniques. Take the spotlight off just the person who has some improvements to make in order to pleasure you the way you like to be pleasured. But you can make it an experience for both of you. Check in, just be like, I don't know what you like exactly. I just want to know, am I satisfying your needs? How can I make you feel better? And maybe they'll ask you too. Just talking about it is like the number one thing, and the hardest things to talk about are sometimes the most important. So do it. Chat.
Well said, Tanya.
I think the key to like giving head is lots of saliva. So maybe possibly like be hydrated, get hydrated. You drink lots of water, even a little bit like loosen up with a bit of beer or alcohol. But the key is you want a sloppy toppy. That will make you won't gag so often if you are like well hydrated.
Good answer there. I love both of the answers. I think I agree very much with
me?
Yeah, we heard you. You just froze, but we did hear you give the answer. The thing is too is Wendy mentioned is talk with them and play with each other. Don't be afraid to give direction, like positive direction. Say, oh, I really liked it when you did that. Maybe trying this will help. If they have a gag reflex, the only way to get past that really is sort of practice and practice either not to go as deep or to, because there's a lot of pressure can happen in the hands, and so you don't need to take the whole thing all the way in. Just the male sex organ, the up at the glans, the frenulum is a fun place to have played with. So if they learn the anatomy and the landscape, they might be able to do a few different things, which won't make them gag. So good luck with you and your partner, the person who is asking about the girlfriend who enjoys fellatio but isn't good at it. So we'll working on that. What was that?
Sin, tough times. It is.
It is tough times, but it's a good problem to have. To have a partner who cares about you, wants to do something for you, just has a difficulty doing it. Chris Kelly is saying practice, practice, practice is the key. Exactly. It's the same way you get to Carnegie Hall. And our next question is, how important is flexibility in burlesque? I'm nowhere near ballerina flexible, but I want to try. So how important is flexibility? I'm in the hot seat first. I'm saying everyone can progress at their own pace, understanding you're putting on a show and that you are enjoying it as you do it. That's all that really matters. If you might move differently than other burlesque performers, and that's fine as long as you're putting on a good show. Wendy.
Yeah, I think the aspect to a burlesque performance is your confidence. I find people believe in what you believe in. You know, if you are smiling and you look like you're having a good time, they want to be a part of you having a good time. They want to support you doing that. They didn't come out to see you and not enjoy themselves. And I feel like the flexibility, there are a lot of fun moves that you can do. Even myself, I'm a fairly flexible person and I can't do them. You know, a lot of floor work, but that is again a practice scenario. You're not flexible right away. Some people are, but most people aren't. You can definitely work at it. Other things besides burlesque and dancing can help you with your flexibility, obviously, like yoga and other stretching. But yeah, stretching before performance is important, but people will love to see you, even if you're not flexible. They just want to see you have a good time.
All right. And Tanya, the question is, how important is flexibility in burlesque?
Sorry, I'm having so much. I can hear like part of Wendy's like conversation, but I can't. What was the? I'm having a really
Wendy,
hard time.
can you read the question?
You,
Just I'll bring it on screen if Wendy can read it.
I don't even know what the question is at this point.
So the question was, how important is flexibility in burlesque? I am nowhere near ballerina flexible, but I want to try.
Well, like you, I could hear what you were saying, but definitely like warming up, Pilates and yoga. I mean, there are like different flexibility like courses you can take online. You know, sometimes like things like the splits don't come natural to some people, but you can definitely like get some like bricks, like the foam bricks, and like practice if you want to like learn how to do splits or something like that. But it's not necessary. It's more like the contact and engagement you have with the audience. Not everyone has to, you know, be like an acrobat to do burlesque. So it's not necessary. But if that's what you want to do, like you're going to practice, of course. But like it's not the most important thing.
I think one of the important things is to recognize that modern burlesque today is a body positive experience. So different bodies, different abilities, but having the same fun.
Can I add a quick note in?
Yes.
I know a performer who has been performing for almost like going on their 10th year this year in December, and they have only recently been able to do the splits. After all these years of dancing and training, their body was just not agreeing with them until they found like a practice that worked for them. So don't get discouraged if it doesn't happen right away.
Boom. See, it's all out there for everybody. I'm just going to mention that if anyone wants to support the show, there is the link tree is running at the bottom. So donate to the channel. Anything that's donated to the channel will be split among the 3 performers that you see here. The show is far from over, but just to go through who is here again. We have Tanya Cheex, and it's at Tanya Cheex, all one word on Instagram. I do recommend going out and following them. And of course, at cosmic.bonbons on Instagram. And there's a show every Sunday at 7 p.m. Newfoundland time that does air, that she does on Instagram.
Yes.
And our next question. My boyfriend wants to try BDSM. Actually, maybe, Wendy, you can read this because so Tanya can hear it.
For sure. I love reading things. My boyfriend wants to try BDSM, but I am not interested at all. I would be fine with him going to a professional, but can I request that he gets dommed by a man?
There we are. Tanya, you have the question first.
Of of course he can. Generally, like, it is like mostly a female dominated business, but there are like male like doms obviously that do it for like professionally. Like we have a few in our roster. Like, of course that can happen. I just believe that both parties have to be willing. Like, I want to, like, if there's someone that's bringing another person into a scenario, I want to talk to both people and see that they're both completely like, cool with that and comfortable. Make sure that the limitations and whatnot and safe words are all being used. But of course, they can be dominated by a man in a professional setting.
Wendy.
I think that, for one, I love that this person is open to going to a professional, because you go to a professional for most of everything in your day-to-day. Your intimate sexual moments don't necessarily have to be any different, especially if you're looking for something a little bit more outside of your norm. It's nice to do it with somebody who's experienced and can help you through that journey, so it's a positive experience and a growing experience, whatever you want it to be. Yeah, definitely. If you, as Tanya mentioned, if you are able to contact a male dom, go for it. If this person is interested in a male dom, go for it. Chatting is very important, and I'm definitely not a professional as Tanya is, but I think that, yeah, the communication is really important, and keep being open as you are.
Good answers from both of you. The thing is too, it's I think it might be the person whose boyfriend wants to try BDSM and they're not interested at all. I don't know the gender of the person asking the question, and if their partner is a heterosexual male, they might not be comfortable being domed by a man. So it's something you can request, and it might be something for them to think about. But I think that's a conversation with you and your partner. But that's the only thing that I don't think we addressed in the original set of answers. Ready for the next question?
Can I read it?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. With all you know now in your respective fields, if you could visit your 15-year-old self, what advice would you give them on love, sex, and relationships?
Boom. And I'm in the hot seat, so I start on this one. I think the advice that I'd give myself is understand that relationships aren't forever. I mean, the relationship could become a friendship that can be for long term, but a love relationship is not forever. And to be kind to the person and be honest and open. And if things are not working, do not suffer in silence. Do not take it out on them. Be honest and say, hey, I don't think this is working. And that might spur a conversation which can help either save the relationship or help you move on without animosity. And I think that is very important. Tanya. Tanya seems frozen. Not even her earrings are moving.
Ooh, Tanya, I love what you're saying tonight. I just can't wait to hear your response to this.
There we are. We've got the white circle of death. Wendy, I'm gonna have to throw to you here.
Okay. Can you go back to the question screen? I got so distracted by wanting to see Tanya. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. Yes. Going back to my 15-year-old self. Perfect. I got you. So if I could give my 15-year-old self any advice on love, sex, and relationships, I think for me, it would be, don't rush it. I feel like I was in such a hurry to go through everything to just get it over with, because I thought each new experience would be terrifying, that I just couldn't wait to get it over with. But there's something beautiful about the unknown and learning about your sexuality and experiencing someone else's body and experiencing your own body. If I could remind myself of how important that is, and let them know that like it's gonna be okay, kid. It's gonna be okay. I'd do that.
Good answer. So Tanya, what is the advice that you'd give your 15-year-old self?
Tell us, Tanya.
I hope you can hear me. It's kind of interesting question because it's kind of hard to answer. But I think that this is something that's happened to me recently with the pandemic. I learned how, because I'm kind of a serial dater and a serial monogamous. I think now I've learned how to. It's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to enjoy your own time. You don't have to like jump from one relationship to the next. And this is something that I've learned now, and I'll be 54 in a couple of weeks. It's just enjoying your own time.
Oh, go ahead.
And the other kind of funny thing is like, if it's really bad, just like hope to God maybe you'll get paid for it. Like that's about maybe it's a cash exchange if it's really bad, but let's hope it's not bad. But yeah, this is the big thing for me, and this is something I'm learning now, is learning to be by myself.
Which is good advice. Yeah, we have to be
like
comfortable
run
with
from
ourselves.
one person to the next, just to fill that void. This is my pandemic takeaway.
It's true. It is so true, though.
There is why we have you nice and clear like this, Tanya.
Yeah.
Do you have a?
But yeah, it's just like I have a lot of experience and other things, but this is my takeaway. With different things, and it's. Compromise. Do I want to compromise with certain things? No. I think that's a lot what I did when I was younger, is I compromised. I'm not interested in that anymore.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Wendy, can you ask the question about confidence again?
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, Tanya, Jesus, we gotta know how you think that you can get some confidence when you're going on stage. Like how do you get that? How do you start burlesque? How do you get the confidence to do it?
I think I got cut off, but I was saying it's research. Like just like suck everything up, watch everything you can, go to a lot of shows, and like I said, volunteer. Like ask to like where you can help. Like if it's just being a stage kitten, so at least you got that. Like and definitely like ask. If you're competent, ask to go dance. So then you're used to being in front of the audience. Like and. Just I channel Matthew McConaughey before I.
Yes.
All right.
Feel that swagger, like just loosen up in your body. Don't like be so tight and like nervous. Like just let it go.
All right. We only have one question left at this point. We may have another one come in.
And once again, spend some time. Like if you're going on stage, right on. It's all right. But one thing is like before you go on stage, maybe find a space where you can be by yourself, because sometimes backstage can be very hectic, and and a lot of people are bouncing things off. Find a little space to go by yourself, and listen to your music and get into character away from the sort of like chaos that can definitely exist backstage. Definitely have, if you want one drink, just don't be drunk. 1-2 shots, you're good. Smoke a joint if you need to.
Oh, yes.
All right. The next question, Wendy, do you want to continue your reading streak?
Yes. I want to read the next. Definitely want to read the next question. All right. What is the line between verbal humiliation and verbal abuse?
Boom. Tanya.
What is the line? Am I in the hot seat right now with this one?
You are in the hot seat.
Line between verbal humiliation and like verbal and and the physical humiliation. Is that what it was? Verbal versus physical?
Verbal humiliation versus verbal abuse.
Well, they're almost the same thing. Let me think about that one for a moment. What is the difference? Well, I mean, like humiliation is usually a lot of time humiliation is picking on some kind of physicality. With verbal humiliation, like you might be like today I had a client that was into small penis humiliation, even though he didn't. So you're like using a lot of like words, and maybe things that are like words that you are like probably like schoolyard words. Abuse tends to be when verbal abuse tends to be when you're like just a loud berating, like perhaps yelling at someone. They're very close. There's a fine line though. Like I said, the verbal humiliation will be like using like things that you might have like heard in schoolyard or like and then with the verbal abuse, it tends to be more of a tirade of things, and you might be yelling them. But they're very close together, like as far as things go. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's a little tricky one to answer.
I have a slightly different take on it. I believe.
Did you get that?
We heard you. I think the difference would be intent.
But they are hand in hand. Except, I just think that one would be more beratement versus like.
I think there's humiliation in a play stance is about giving somebody shame. Abuse is done to hurt and hurt intentionally, and I think it's the intent is what makes the difference between it being a play humiliation versus actual abuse, and that's why sometimes play has to be well defined before you get into it, because to make it up as you are on the fly, it can get a little muddled. But Wendy, what is your thoughts?
Well, the first thing that came to mind for me was the consent aspect. You don't normally consent to be in my mind, the verbal humiliation would be something you'd consent to, and then abuse, first thing that came to my mind would be something that you aren't consenting to. But at the same time, I don't have much life experience with those two things. So that's just coming with my own life experiences. I always associate abuse with something negative. But as Tanya pointed out in her answer, I guess very much so, it kind of depends on your intention. And maybe you might be consenting to be abused. Maybe that might be the terminology you're using. So I think I'm just drawing on my own experiences where I associate the abuse with something negative. And that's where I'm getting the consent from in my mind.
Yeah, I think also like some words are triggers in bad ways. You should check in with the person to see like what words, like I usually ask a client if they're into like the verbal, what words do you not want to hear? Which words are you okay with? Because some things can be big triggers in a bad way, and something can be completely like sexually stimulating. So like just check in with the words, because some are taboo and some are not good taboo.
I did have a partner who didn't like anything questioning intelligence.
Ooh, yes.
I don't think Tanya can hear me. If you want to repeat that for them.
The love doctor, the love doctor said that he had a partner that did not enjoy it when you questioned the intelligence during those aspects. Am I relaying that correctly, love doctor?
Correct. Like they to call them slutty would be okay. To call them a stupid slut.
What did you say, Wendy? Say it again.
The love doctor said that he had a partner in the past that did not enjoy it when you questioned the intelligence, but words like slutty were okay.
But stupid slut
like
was not.
Like thing like stupid or like dumb, like those
would be like no.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple questions come in, so we'll keep on going.
That's the thing that I have check in often, like professionally with my clients, because some things are just you don't want that word to come up. That's going to be like a boner killer.
Very much so.
Unless that's the intent. We do have the link is running at the bottom. We have a few more questions. So we are Okay, we have 2 questions left in the show. Wendy, would you read this to make sure that Tanya hears it properly?
Yes. Okay. So we did those 2. I have heard there are leather, latex, rope families in BDSM. 1, what does these families do exactly? 2, how do you join a family? 3, can you be in more than one family?
And you are in the hot seat, Wendy.
I'm confused by the term family.
It's not biological.
I didn't think so, Bye. I know we're tight over here around the bay and stuff, but I didn't think we're that close. No, but
I would change it to communities.
Okay, thank you. Communities. That makes more sense in my mind. If we're talking about the community aspect, you can definitely be a part of more than one community. In my own experience, you can definitely explore multiple communities. Just carry the same respect with you. And different play comes with different rules sometimes. You know, you have your base rules, get your consent, have your safe words, know the physical harm that you can be inflicting on somebody, you know, the very basic things. But there's also different etiquettes that will come with different types of play. You know, so I think that's something to consider while you're traveling through these different communities or families. But yeah, you can explore them all if you want to.
And Tanya, you're in the hot seat.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. You'll find that there's different thing is like with leather and latex, sometimes you'll find there's a real division between the 2 communities. That one doesn't like that. Perhaps the leather community is not so fond of the latex. So you might find that, you know, like I tend to like all things, but they can be very different, especially with like perhaps like you won't see so much fashion perhaps in rope community, but aesthetic will still play a very like prominent part, like with like shibari groups and stuff like that. But you can be in all groups. You can be, it doesn't matter, as long as you find that the people that you're playing with or whatever are, you know, fun to be around with or respectful of what you're into. But yeah, some are more practicing and some are more fashion, you'll find. And definitely with rope is going to be more practice. And rope is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So please take workshops. Like, and do all your research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, research is so important.
It is definitely important. Actually, I believe the term families comes from drag, because there'd be a host of drag and a family, and you'll see that some people will have the same last name. A drag performer's last name would be the same as another drag performer's last name because they are in the same family.
I didn't even consider that.
It also would be, it's like you can have multiple leather communities or latex communities or rope communities in the same community overall, like families in multiple families in the same community. Because of because a lot of it is the mentorship. It's like, you know, there would be the daddy or whoever who is sort of hello, welcome back, Tanya.
We got you, Tanya.
Yeah, and it would be in that aspect that it is a sort of the family is a mentorship. It's to be inclusive of each other. So that is, I think that helps answers whether or not you can be in more than one family. I think it depends on the group. Families tend to be clannish, so it all depends on the rules of your clan, your family. How to join a family would be to be hanging out at events and find somebody that would mentor and welcome you in, and that takes communication and networking. Mm-hmm. So that is my advice for that question. We still have 2 questions. It seems like we're perpetually at 2 questions left. So the questions keep on coming in. Just a reminder that the donation link is down below. What do you decide when making a routine, costume or music? I've not performed burlesque. I have I perform with burlesque performers, so I don't feel I'm qualified to answer this one. Wendy, you are in the hot seat.
I personally enjoy getting my music together first. I find the costume takes me a lot longer than picking a song, or making or working with somebody to make a mix. Um, and a costume is something that I find in your act is kind of ever evolving. You know, a lot of performers will continuously make small alterations over the years to their acts or their signature acts. Whereas, you don't really have to, but like it's a good start to do that. Whereas like if you don't want to, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm losing my train of thought, but I'm gonna leave it at that. We're good.
All right. So it's an evolving process.
Evolving
I think,
process.
yeah. I usually get attracted to, can you hear me? I usually get sort of like hung up on an archetype, and usually the archetype or something is like what I get my idea for an act for, and then it's usually the music. But I might have a visual of the costume, but then the music usually comes pretty like soon, and then the actual development of the costume and the choreography and the routine come later. But sometimes you'll hear a song and you're like, I need to use that. Like I really need to come up with something to that particular music because it moves you in a certain way. But I think a lot of time with me, it's archetypes before any of this stuff. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
yeah, that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Oh, we have more questions have come in. Wendy, do you want to read the question to make sure that Tanya hears it clearly?
Yeah. Does Boy Scout knots count in rope play?
Tanya.
Sure. I mean, that's how I started out, but I find like, I mean, and why not sailor like nautical like knots and stuff can all be used. I personally like shibari type things because I find them easier to take apart when you have to. And that with shibari, like is based on sort of like slip knots and things like that, that they support weight better than some of these other ones. But why not? As long as you've got a pair of scissors like handy and you're not, putting someone in a compromising position, like check in, see like how their circulation is and everything. But a lot of us like started doing bondage with like simple things like, well, not all Boy Scout knows the knots are simple, but that's kind of like where a lot of people have started with like their rope bondage plays with things that they learned as children. So sure. But once again, be careful what you're doing. Check in.
Yeah. Always be careful. Always check in. And definitely Boy Scout knots can count in rope play. I think what's more important is the quality of the rope, something that's soft rather than having like a jute or a nylon rope. Those things are very dangerous. Wendy.
Yeah, I think you can use whatever types of knots you want as long as you know the safety precautions that come with where you're putting them. You can cause somebody significant harm by placing knots or putting ropes places that you really shouldn't be putting a lot of pressure on or be straining. So you can use whatever knots you want safely. Just know what you're using them for. As Tanya mentioned, some shibari supports weight better. And I just learned that myself. But just know what you're doing to someone's body. That's like very important. And Love Doctor, you are so freaking right with the quality and the type of rope. Oh my God. Don't just go pick up nothing from like home hardware. You gotta make sure that shit's good for your skin.
This is true. And other thing is like I've had like this has happened like clients like sometimes because the endorphins are rushing so high in a scenario, they can pass out. And I've had large men like pass out in like rope bondage. Be able to deal with this thing like take CPR if you're going to be doing the course, if you're going to be doing a lot of this, because you never know what can happen. People get very lightheaded, especially when they're tied up and go in subspace. And so be careful. That's all I can stress that over and over again. That's the thing.
That's definitely stressed out. Before we get to our last question, I just want to remind everyone again, on Instagram, it's at cosmic.bonbons. That is how you follow Wendy Bonbons. Definitely, I do recommend. And every Sunday at it's 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's 7 p.m. Newfoundland time.
You got it.
That is when you can watch their show, which is, it's got poetry, it's got burlesque performers, there's comedians or musicians. It's quite interesting. At Tanya Cheex on Instagram, you can follow their Instagram to find out more about their performances and where they are working. So please check out at Tanya Cheex on Instagram. We have the 2 questions left. It just I stopped for a moment and we get more questions have popped in. So this is not the last question. But this is I think this one is fairly simple. Wendy, if you want to read it to make sure that Tanya hears it properly, because she's not hearing me as well.
Can you explain consensual non-consent to me? I know consent is the most important thing, but how do you not consent to consenting?
Boom. You have the question first. You're in the hot seat.
How do you not consent to consenting? So am I hearing you right?
Yes. Are you familiar with consensual non-consent?
I am not. Can we take me on a learning journey?
All right. We'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Tanya,
what do you think? Teach me. I don't really understand.
Well, you shouldn't. It's kind of a complicated question, because with consent, you have to be doing something you want to be doing, or you're not going to be doing it. So there's only one way. Like, you shouldn't be, like, I don't know. It's either you're consenting or you're not. So it shouldn't be happening if you're not. It's not consensual. Like, you always have the right of refusal for anything you're doing in your sex life.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Always the right to refuse.
So, I mean, I know that, like, there is some scenarios, and I've had these, like, professionally, where they don't want to use safe words and whatnot, but all that stuff should be, like, clarified, in the conversation right from the beginning, if you're going to be going down that road. I personally don't like to do that, but there are clients that want to not use safe words, but and then the aftercare is important, like, with that sort of thing. Check in. Was that what you liked? Is that what you wanted? How do you feel? Like, So I think, like, I don't believe in, if it's non-consensual, it shouldn't be happening.
Agree. All right, consent isn't just sexy, it's fucking mandatory. That is beyond question. Consensual non-consent is sort of a fantasy play where safe words are very important because they end the scene, of course.
Okay.
But it's usually the person who wants to receive consensual non-consent is somebody who wants to be scared, or they want to act out a scene that implies danger,
that's why
whether it's real danger or not. And the idea is the safe word could cancel the scene at any time. But if people who want to have their partner grab their throat, or if they want to be tied up, if you ever are working with somebody who wants to be gagged, then you have to set a non-verbal safe word that is clear to understand and easy for them to communicate to you. But I'm going to use a triggering word in a moment. I'm going to say that right now. There are people who enjoy in a consensual way something called rape play.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I wasn't
sure.
And
that would be qualified as consensual non-consent. So they are consenting to this play that is based off of being non-consensual. And that's where, so it's called CNC, it's called consensual non-consent, or that other word that I had used. And that is the basic understanding of it, but it definitely should include safe words and if there's going to be gagging, a very clear set way to be non-verbally give a safe word. I hope I just made that clear.
Yeah, you see that. I see that a lot in sort of with interrogation type scenarios and stuff where the fear element is the turn on. I just wasn't like quite familiar with the other side of the terminology, but that's kind of what it is. But there usually is some kind of like, sometimes things are set on timers too with that kind of like play, so they can go through the whole psychodrama like without interruption. But just like, once again, like try to be very intuitive to what. I mean, you can see when if you're paying attention, you can see when something is not right. Just don't get too caught up in the moment when you're doing with stuff like that, and just. But
aftercare is super
tricky.
important.
Yeah, super careful, like super important.
And one of the things that is an attraction for some people is because no means no, but for some people they want to be able to say "oh no" in the situation in the play, so that's why the importance of having the safe word there to break it. So they can say no, stop, and not mean it. If anyone is ever saying no, stop, and you haven't set up a safe word, fucking stop. Sorry, just being a mean person who would break someone's knees who doesn't stop. We have a last comment question, and I wonder if it's going to be the last, because I just said that. You pricks are out there writing more questions as soon as I say that. To stop that. That's where we've been on this for 80 minutes now. The last question is, Wendy, if you'd be so kind to read.
All right. So, Love Doctor, you and these beautiful ladies have made this a wonderful evening for me. You're welcome. I wish we had something like this when I was younger. Hope you all had a great night and keep up the amazing work.
Well, thank you.
So nice.
It's nice.
There have been I've been told, what was her name? Sue.
Yes.
Was a Canadian who was doing
Sex
this on
with
television.
Dr. Sue.
Yeah. And Dr. Ruth as well was an American. I've never been a sniper. I just want to point out. Yeah. And so these things existed when you were younger. You just didn't find out about them because they weren't as prevalent.
Yeah.
At one final time, I definitely want to point out a big thank you to Tanya Cheex on Instagram. Please follow them. Tanya Cheex, TanyachEex on Instagram. I did the capitals there. It's not necessary for the capitals, but the capitals just make it easier to remember. And at cosmic.bonbons on Instagram for Wendy Bonbons. Both of whom are burlesque performers, and I imagine following the Instagram you'll find out where they are performing. I am the Love Doctor. My manager's channel down there is in the link tree. So the first thing says buy me a drink. If you click on that, you can donate towards the show. I know it's hard times for everybody, but it gives a chance to pay these wonderful people who are above me for their time and their wonderful advice. I want to thank you very much for tuning. If you're listening or watching this on repeat afterwards, catch us on a live show, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except next week. I'm taking a break because I've got some film work. I'm going to have to be doing something, so I may be appearing on people's televisions in the next little bit, or I think that might be French television I'm doing. I don't remember. But it's I have to pay the bills as well. So but check it out. We are usually every Sunday at 9 p.m. Follow the links on the bottom. That will tell you it'll be announced on Instagram and on Facebook when the next show is, which will probably be 2 weeks from tonight, which would be in December, the first Sunday in December. Ooh. I'm the Love Doctor. I love you all. Tanya, Wendy, any parting words?
Be safe and wash your fucking hands.
And Tanya?
Do you have any parting words, Tanya?
When in doubt, spill out.
And don't forget to be kind.
I don't know.
I'm a love doctor. I love you all.
I don't know. My whole
I love you too, love doctor, and I hope you have a great night.
the other day, like, what do you do for your real job? You know, it's having.
All right.